Alright, this is my very first video on knitting, and I'm not really going to do anything very exciting. I have made the loose cuff sweater from Knit Picks. Pick up my camera. There's the top of it. There's my webcam box prop. So here's the top of my sweater, and it's done in the round in Fair Isle technique, and the arms are steeked together, and there's a slit for the neck that's steeked together, and then there's more neck up here, and everything is steeked together. So I'm about to cut them apart, and this will be my very first cut, and I haven't done this before, so you're going to see it live in action. Let's bring this down a little. There we are. Okay, so I used a Crocheted Steek reinforcement on the sides instead of a sewn steek, and I really like the way it's turned out. I guess we'll see once I cut it if it turns out as well as I think it has. I used a tutorial. If you search on YouTube for Eek Steek, like E-E-E-E-K, Eek Steek, there aren't very many tutorials on the crochet reinforcement actually, and that's the one that I used, and so far it looks great. So down here I have my 2 crocheted rows going up, and I had an odd number of steek stitches. You can still kind of see it's a checkerboard steek, so if I stretch it out you can see the checkerboard going across under the purple there. So I did 2 stitches together on this side of the center line and 2 stitches together on this side of the center line, and that left a nice column in between. Up here I had 7 stitches. Since it was an odd number, I made my 2 steek reinforcements come right back to back on the very center stitch, so there's not as much room to cut there, but there also won't be any danglies. I think when I cut this one, I'll have all these extra little fibers that I might want to trim later, but this one should be a little cleaner because my 2 crochet chains are back to back with almost nothing in between. So we shall see. So here I have scissors, and I've read that shorter scissors are better for this because you're less likely to accidentally go somewhere you don't want to go with short scissors. So before you cut, of course everything is done and all your ends are slipped through their loops, and you want to make sure that your crochet doesn't cross over at the bottom, because you don't want to cut the crochet. That's the most important part, is not to cut the crochet, because that's what's holding everything else together. So I guess here I go. My very first cut. I'll make it right down the middle of the sweater just for drama, and my crochet looks good. So this is the cast on, and I'm just gonna cut through it a little at a time. There's a little bit at the top and there's a little at the bottom. Alright, so here it comes, right up the middle, going slow. See, I've got these little extra threads because I made my crochet chains kind of far apart, but I can trim those. We'll get it all cut apart and then we'll see how well it's holding. It looks like it's going to hold really well. So nice little snips, just a couple strings at a time, keeping the crochet out of the way, and I will stop and give it a tug and get everything cleaned up so nothing gets in the way of what I can see. I'm actually not nervous about this, which is weird. I think I was nervous about it. I had only found a technique of kind of using the crochet hook to flat stitch on the surface instead of actually, I don't know, it was different, and I didn't like it very much, and I didn't feel like it would do a very good job. And then I found this technique for using a single crochet, and it feels really solid and secure to me. So we're almost to the top. When I did my crochet, I went up this side, and then you just turn right around and come back. So instead of breaking the yarn and making a new one, I just made a cute little single crochet loop, which I'll snip, and then I'll pull my ends through. and that saved me starting and stopping. I hate starting and stopping. Alright, so we're almost to the top, and again we'll check to make sure there's no crochet in the way of where I'm going to be snipping. And snip, snip. Very carefully. Snip, snip. Oh, now I've just got the cast on left. And we're through. So let's see how we did. So it looks on the front, which of course will be folded back, but the front of the steek looks good. The back of the steek, I've got all these little frizzies, which I knew I would have. Now this particular part is the neck placket, and I'm actually knitting a facing to wrap around it. So I probably won't trim any of these fuzzies because they're all going to be folded to the inside and then have a facing folded around them. So I probably don't need to worry about the little fuzzies. They'll just stay tucked under. I think if I wasn't knitting a facing, because of the way the crochet, the chain is on the top, when I fold it around to the back like this, it gives me a really nice edge that I'll be able to whip stitch right into the edge of the crochet chain, and it'll still keep all of the ends to the back. Even if you didn't have a facing, it would just keep them all nice and neat tucked underneath. So yeah, that makes me happy. I really like it. I'm going to pull my little end before it unravels there, and I'll go to the other side and pull my end before I unravel it there. And at the bottom, each side was anchored on its own, so I don't have to worry about that coming undone. So that's it. That's my first steek cut. Now I guess we can go to this smaller one. There's less room in this one to see what's going on. Move my crochet out of the way. So I think it's going to be a little more hairy to cut, just because there isn't as much room. But move that out of the way. I think if you take it one tiny little snip at a time, and then once you get going, so all you're cutting through is the purl bars. That's all that's between there is the purl bars. So you can just cut the purl bars away. And there is a lot less room, so I'm just cutting about 1 or 2 strands at a time. And giving it a tug does help. Of course, you don't want to tug it too much, because then you'll pull the stitches out of your crochet. Well, that works pretty well. I'll spread it out with my fingers a little. Being very careful not to cut the crochet at all. Oh, there's purple fuzz. That's not good. We'll pretend it's not there and see what happens. Getting up to the top. And there is the top of the neck, which will also be picked up and knit. So, and I've got a back there I have to go and cut too. But, so that's it. That was really easy and pretty painless. And if I give a tug on the crochet chain here, where the raw edge is, it's really holding. That's not pulling out. It's really holding on to the ends. Plus, you're not going to sit here and fiddle with it. You're going to leave it and be nice to it, fold it back and get it out of the way. So it'll definitely hold until I get everything stitched down. So that's it. I just cut my first steek, and I didn't sweat, and I didn't cry, and I didn't swear. So I think it must have worked. So that's my very first YouTube video, and I hope it helps somebody. I'm on Ravelry as Tamra Clove, TAMRACLOVE. So if you want to come and see my sweater when it's all done, hopefully in a few more days, come and check me out. Bye!